Well, hey friends, how about a full moon in Scorpio lunar eclipse reading here tonight as the full moon passes through the sky at this very moment. And we're going to look at what has happened since that new moon back in Scorpio season and what has come into fruition now that the moon is full in Scorpio. But what I'm called to ask about is about what you see when you look in the mirror, what we see as a collective when we look in the mirror, and if you think about the sunlight shining on the moon, and that is why it is full, because they're exactly across from each other. It makes me think of justice and the Two of Cups. So we're going to look at that mirroring energy, what we see in the mirror. And then when the earth comes between the sun and the moon, something is obscured. So we're going to ask about that. What is obscured? And then because of other things going on out there in the heavens, we're going to ask about what has been transformed and what still needs to be transformed. And what needs to be communicated. This shirt actually has Mercury with the sun, and that's currently where Mercury and the sun are conjunct over in Taurus with Uranus, and that's why we're asking about revolution and transformation. Also, Pluto is square, which is a challenging relationship to the north and south nodes of the moon. So we're just going to ask questions about that. You don't need to know the astrology, but if you're a nerd of astrology, you should definitely watch a real astrologer. I watch astrologers, but I am not trained in it. I just find it interesting to see how those energies show up in the cards. Okay, so I think what I'm going to do, something I don't usually do, which is I'm going to use two decks and I'm going to ask all 5 questions of both of these decks. And then we'll see what message happens and we'll clarify, as I do like to clarify. Okay, so the first question is when the collective, or you, the person out there in the collective, and this 222 subscribers to this channel, welcome to the new people. I love your comments. Thank you for joining this little community. So this is our collective here, whoever finds this, okay? So when we look in the mirror, we're seeing, this is great, we see grief. We see a 5 of Cups. This is a perspective. This is an option of, do we focus on the spilled or do we focus on the full? This is the mirroring energy of a 2 of Cups, right? Often when we are grieving, we are focusing on the past and what we have lost. But there's always the opportunity to turn towards that new beginning there, that new connection. When I think of the 2 of Cups, I think of justice. But this is a place of sorrow, okay? So we're looking in the mirror and we're seeing loss. And what we do have an opportunity to see the possibilities and the new beginnings. This is pretty close to the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith. So you can see there's a bridge over this water. These are your emotions. You can take the bridge from the troubling emotions here over to a new place, a new beginning here. It's a Scorpio card, so it's very perfect on a night of a Scorpio full moon that we get one of the cards of Scorpio, a 5 of Cups. It has built into it, through that perspective shift, the possibility of transformation. So what is obscured from us when we look in that mirror? And this is a 10 of Wands, that there is a burden that we have been carrying that we can put down. We have completed something. We've exerted our will and we have finished something. It has become heavy and we are now able to put it down. We brought all those wands to wherever we're taking them. And looking at the picture, it looks like there's no rhyme or reason for where she's taken these wands. So I find that interesting. Sometimes we do things for no reason. Okay, what has been transformed? So there's Seven of Wands. It's an energy of fighting, more of this kind of fiery energy. It's also about integrity. So you may have found integrity, or we may see that you're able to stand up for yourself, for your ideas against the crowd. There's also, this makes me think of conflict. I can really feel how this person is standing up against a mob here. Lots of willpower, lots of fire. Okay. What still requires transformation? More wands, a 9 of wands. This is a long struggle. You're almost there. You're tired, you're wise from struggle, but you're tired. A little beat up usually. Very wandy. Sort of lots of desert energy. Okay, it's telling a different story to me as I look at this. It's kind of telling me a story about planting trees here. About carrying all of these trees into this desert and then getting organized and then planting the trees. Like, that's what I'm seeing. I see trees being planted. Definitely not what these cards traditionally mean. So take or leave that. Now, there needs to be something communicated, and what is that? Judgment. An ascension. A judgment. So in this card, if you do live your life right, you get called to ascend. And this very kind of traditional imagery of ascending to heaven, being called by Angel Michael. And these are the souls who get to go there. But you can think about this, I often think about it as like a video game, and you win a level and you get to move up to the next level. So this needs to be communicated. Something about, so there's a judgment here. I think that's important. It looks like it's actually a communication coming from above, from outside of us, that there's a message that is coming in here. Interesting. Okay, underlying energies, just one. This 5 of Pentacles is coming around quite a bit in my consciousness. So we have traditionally the 5 of Pentacles as a couple of people who are outside of this warm place of belonging. It looks like a church, and they're out in the cold. And much like the 5 of Cups, which was what we see in the mirror, is sadness or a soulmate or lack or justice, depending on, I really feel like it depends on who we are in this community. You're going to be at different places in this passageway of fives. And same with this, like the 5 of Pentacles, there's often a key to a door that people feel locked out of. So you need to see that you can actually enter where you have felt excluded. And that's all that's under there. And we're having a visit from the kitty. Okay. Thank you for gracing us with your tail. Okay. Now let's pull another deck out and see if we can get something a little bit more clear about what's going on with this message. I definitely need to clarify this. And I'm glad I'm going to use the second deck here. Because all these wands, there's judgment in this deck. It's a fantastic card. And that gives you that feeling of, the snake sheds the skin because they outgrow it. Then they rise, they get bigger, and they get this fresh new skin, but they're bigger too, and that's why they ascend. That's the meaning of ascension there. It's like very transformative energy here. One of the things that's going on out there has to do with the first woman, Lilith. And black moon Lilith, this is the point in the sky where the moon is furthest from us. And the moon has been very far from Earth recently. And tiny, because she's very, very far away. Around that black moon Lilith point. Not there, but around there. And so Lilith, the first woman, refused to be dominated by Adam, and so she got banished from the garden and forgotten. We tend to remember Eve in Christendom. But there are other stories of first women, like if you read Braiding Sweetgrass, Sky Woman Falling, a beautiful creation story. Many stories of that give us different ideas of how to see women and power, relations of power. And this is what this moment is about. So let's see. What are we seeing in the mirror? This deck says a 3 of Wands. So you can see a 3 of Wands is about, you manifest something and then you wait for it. This 3 of Wands brings in a piece of this, which is often a part of 3 of Wands, which is somebody helps you get what you need. So there's that much more positive 2 of Cups feeling of a beautiful manifestation, a vision being made real with help of this beautiful bird. So you can see one is waiting, and then this beautiful friend is helping with bringing in. So there's more fire, more wands, more willpower. There's a lot of wands right now. It's very, like, we just are passionate and inspired. And so we've got the 10 of Wands, the 7, the 9, and now the 3. What is partially obscured? So we saw the 10 of Wands, where there's a burden that can be put down. We also see an 8 of Swords, another perspective. So you can feel trapped here in an 8 of Swords. But again, this is your mind. This is a really cool one because we can see we have the moon and we've got the owls flying around the moon and some those mountains, clouds. Well, I always feel like there's a snake in this, but I'm not. So anyway, it makes an eye, some clouds, and then some roots. And so then the swords, these are thoughts, and they can give you this feeling that you're trapped. So you have a burden. This is what you're not seeing. What you're simply not seeing is that there's a burden you're carrying, and you can put it down. You can free yourself from it. And this is what you need to see. What you see when you look in the mirror depends on who you are. You're either waiting or you're helping. You're either grieving or you're moving into optimism. So I feel like it depends on who you are, what you see in the mirror. And you would know that, and I would love it if you would tell me about that. Okay, so what's still, what has transformed? Okay, an Ace of Pentacles. So this is very earthy, this beautiful flower blooming in the night, in the desert, this owl coming in. So this is about the 3D world. Reality has been transformed recently. What still needs to be transformed? A 4 of Swords. This is healing of your mind. Going alone like this cute little hedgehog and thinking about your thoughts. Healing. That goes under a 9 of Wands. And what needs to be communicated? The Magician. That's awesome. So the Magician holding the wand has pentacle, sword, cup, has all the tools to manifest the world that the Magician wants to live in. So this is what Archangel Michael is communicating to us. It needs to communicate to us that we do have the tools that we need. What's going on the bottom here? A Four of Pentacles. There's a definite, so this is control, a sense of lack. The fox is hoarding the bunnies and is kind of trapped. There's lots of feeling of inside or outside, discontent, fear, really practical, impoverished, holding on to what you do have, or feeling left out and abandoned in some way. So these are like really tough underlying feelings in this reading here. There's a lot of strife in the top row. There's sorrow, there's a burden, there's fighting, there's struggle. And then there's a message that comes in. And then when we look at the bottom row, we see like you're either waiting or you're bringing aid. I feel like and when you look in the mirror, who do you see? Do you see someone who's grieving? Do you see someone who's full of hope? Do you see yourself waiting? Do you see yourself bringing aid and helping to make real a vision? Who are you? When you look in the mirror, you want to choose from those four things, and you can shift, right? So if you see, oh, I'm sad, I'm focusing on the negative, I'm focusing on loss and lack and threat. There's a lot of evidence in this Five of Pentacles and four, these kind of underlying energies from the bottom of the deck, that there's fear of lack. That makes sense because there's all this inflation. And I personally, I make a good living, but then inflation is making it feel really tight. For me, I'm not rich. I make a great living doing something I love. And so I think we're all feeling a little bit a tightening because our pentacles don't go as far. But I think it's more than that. I think it is a lack mentality that keeps our world small, our worldview small. So there's like a shifting here from heavy and negative and fearful into like this sort of images of flight, right? So we've got winged beings here that are very different from some of the waiting and fearing to move, and kind of like here's like these two. So like this one is your perspective that you're trapped, and this one, going alone and into a den, into a safe place, right? And another kind of going into a safe place here. And these people feel outside of a safe place, naked out in the snow. So this is difficult feelings here, mixed with really like powerful and transformative messages. So I can really feel the great diversity of people that this may receive this message. I can feel that you range upon a continuum between dark and fearful to optimistic. You're grieving, and then some of you have grieved and are now moving into now what? What's next, and hope. There's a lot of like struggle and exertion of will. There is these images of planting trees. There's a message coming from above. The message says this. The message says you're the magician. You have all the tools to create the world that you want to live in. That's what the message is. That needs to be communicated. And I thought it was we need to say something, but a message coming is what it feels like. And it feels like this energy. So this message might come from a friend that looks just like you, like this one, bringing in this Ace of Wands, and she's sitting on the Two of Wands. So the Two of Wands represents a vision, and then the Three of Wands represents the vision becoming real, the manifestation. Well, let's clarify. I guess the thought that just came into my mind. So like we can see on the bottom here, the Two of Cups, not yet here, but coming in, right? So if we think about the upside down card, it's not here yet. This is justice. This is the energy that I'm kind of looking for when I'm asking about the mirroring that's happening out there, right? This is why I told you about Lilith, that she was banished from the garden because she refused to be submissive to Adam. And so what I'm understanding is that what's happening out there with planet of revolution, Uranus, the planet of transformation, Pluto, they're in very powerful relationships with this moon, and with Scorpio and Taurus. And so we're experiencing this move towards justice, but we are not there yet. And it looks like we need to be informed of our power as a magician, but there's something more like about being the magician here, of what to do. I see us planting trees in a desert. And I think what I see when I see that in these cards, I actually see something that people are talking about doing right now about the world. If you're not grieving what's happening on the planet, you might be doing something. And it seems misguided when I look at it here. Not that it's bad to plant trees, but if you look at who's planting the trees and whether they're being effective, what they're actually missing, what they don't understand, what they're not always putting into use, is understandings now about what happens underground. And so I see a lot of reminders of that, like we can see the roots. It makes me think of the network of roots, the mycelium under the ground that connects trees and fungus and shares information and shares nutrition. So we see lots of underground images to remind us of what's happening under the earth and of the other beings under the earth. I like that these two decks wanted to talk, because one's all humans and one's all animals, and the message coming in has so much to do with climate justice and understanding and transforming how we do this. And it feels like we need more information, and that's what needs to be communicated about how to be the magician, and so the magician is it's a one. It's the card. It's card one. And so it's a very raw energy of creation that hasn't been channeled. There's no plan. There's no structure. And Pluto and Uranus are that raw energy of transformation and just. And so then what we would need is Saturn to give us structure. Other forces out there, some of the zodiac, like Taurus is a very good place for structure to be created. So that's where the sun is, that's where the messages are coming from with Mercury and the sun, but also Uranus there has a revolutionized structure. So I meant to not get too much into the planets. I don't want to be boring and confusing, but just the more I look at this and the more I try to understand what this is telling us about, this is the last eclipse, lunar eclipse, or any eclipse in Scorpio, and we've had seasons of these scorpiotic transformative eclipses for quite a while. And so in some way this calls us to think, what have we learned in recent years, or at least in the past 6 months since the Scorpio new moon? What is coming to fruition? Well, let's clarify. This deck, my very first little sweetheart deck, wants to clarify. I'm going to do it. I'm going to trust. I haven't used this one to clarify in a while. We definitely want to notice that there's the Magician in this deck on the bottom. I just love that card. So beautiful. So powerful. Okay. The first thing we're asking about is, as the sun shines its light on the face of the moon, this mirroring of the sun on the face of the moon lights up the night sky. What do we see when we look in the mirror? There is a message. There is action. An 8 of Wands. Lots of fire in this reading. It's really interesting. A Son of Pentacles, the slowpoke knight, the one with the plan. Remember, I was just talking about needing a plan. This is the one with the plan. Steps, a process. Like, we're going to do this, and then we're going to do this, and then we're going to do this. And there's that 10 of Wands. That's the burden, right? This is this card. Time to put down a burden. It's like coming out of the darkness, out of the thicket. And there you can see the light. Yeah, I went on this cool hike the other day, Wednesday. We walked down this wash. Beautiful water running through stones. And here it's like very early. Things are just sort of beginning to bud out. First leaves. But lots of brambles. And it was very much like this, like moving through the brush at times. No leaves, just dark branches. And we were looking for swimming holes. And I kind of see how this message coming in, and I asked, what needs to be communicated, and we got this messages. It's not our message to give, it's our message to receive. So it's like being the tinder ready. And like, I can see how this is very organized, and there's a structure here that is ready to receive this message. And then that there are some who have a plan, and there are some who are still kind of in the grief, in the thicket, right? Here. Altogether, I always think of the Son of Pentacles. He just seems very stubborn. He's just going to put his head down and go. He's going to get through the darkness one step at a time, one foot in front of the other. And he's going to get there because he's determined. And I always get this kind of stubborn mule here. And I'm about to go on a year sabbatical. And like it has been just getting through. Although I love my job, I'm ready for this sabbatical. Getting through the thicket. And then there's a feeling that I have about work. So I'm just giving you a little story so that maybe you could apply this to yourself. So like, I can look at work as full of lack and things I wished were different, or I can look at ahead to the new possibilities that I can pursue on this privilege of a sabbatical. And I can see that I could either I can just wait passively by, or I can I'm really drawn to the beautiful action of this bird that's taking the wand, taking the willpower, and flying with it, and taking the leap of faith. I really see this beautiful leap, this spreading of wings. You see what I mean here about this bird? I feel like inspired by that. So I can feel that inspiration, that I'm ready to join in whatever this plan is and go into action. And I can also feel I can really feel how tired we are, that it's been a slog. We've been through some tough years collectively. Okay. So what is partially obscured tonight during that lunar eclipse? The Earth prevented the mirroring of the sunlight on the moon, partially. So what we see here is this 10 of Wands and this 8 of Swords. And what it feels like is there's a burden and there's a feeling of being trapped. And so this is what is obscured. In both cases, you can put the burden down. In the 10 of Wands, that's what that means. And in the 8 of Swords, you're not trapped. Your mind says you're trapped, but in fact, you're not. So we're not seeing something here, right? So let's find out more. So there's beautiful 10 of Cups, joy, emotional fulfillment, community. Beautiful. There is the High Priestess. You intuitively know this. And I think this is about the partial eclipse, right? So you can kind of see that here. It's not completely obscured. It's not completely blocked. But the darkness actually can provide the High Priestess with, she can see in the dark. And she's looking at that 10 of Cups there. And there's the sun, happiness, the light. That's what is obscured, right? With the light of the sun. And you know what the sun card in the tarot represents? Is you, your authentic self, your absolute joy in being yourself. I always think of the Rider-Waite-Smith tarot, the traditional card with a naked baby on a white horse with a red flag flying. Like that is naked represents in that deck authenticity. So and for me, joy, wish fulfillment, the happiest of happy comes from authenticity, from being where I can be myself. So this is what is blocked by your sense of responsibility and by the stories in your mind, your perceptions that say you're trapped and you can't put that burden down. So think about what that might be for you. Because what we have here is your intuition is blocked, your happiness is blocked, your love, your wish fulfillment, joy. Everything, like the High Priestess is your intuition. Okay, so you know this is what that says, but it also says that you're blocking your own intuition, right? There's more. You can open it up even more. It's partially obscured, but there's more. And then happiness, authenticity, who you are. It's like, ask yourself, do you really know who you are? Do you know what makes you happy? This sun has come up for me in collective readings as a part of what is being revised. Like, we don't really know who we are and what makes us happy. We've had Chiron, the wounded healer, in Aries at the very basic level of who we are, at our identity, grinding through there. I think last time I looked, it's at 17 degrees. It takes years to get through Aries, right? So something has been hidden from us. What's hidden it from us? I have my ideas about what is hidden this from us. Something in our culture, right? Something in our culture that makes us feel like this or act like this, like control and fear and abandonment and isolation, feeling of being impoverished and left out. Like, why does our culture, what purpose does that serve you? I can see what purpose it might be serving some tiny percentage of people, in this world. So this seems really important here, that what's actually obscured, what's hidden is your absolute happiness and authenticity, who you are, and your sense of community and connection. That's what this card is about. and all that rainbow justice energy. This deck has a lot of that. So that seems really important. Okay, so what has been transformed is we see a Seven of Wands and an Ace of Pentacles. I'll show you those again. So what's been obscured, so this is you holding fast to your idea against people who have with competing ideas. And then we see Earth, the very practical 3D world, some kind of new beginning has come in. So in relationship to one another, I mean, I almost actually get this feeling of a baseball game. You know how like everybody's out in the field with their mitts, and then the pitcher's going to pitch the ball, and then you're going to hit that ball. Like I really see you at bat, right? And they don't have gloves, but they're the other side, and you're standing up. So this is a battle. It's a game though, and you know, not everybody that watches this channel is American, but this sport of baseball is a strange sport. It's like you're on a team, but everything happens and you're all alone on the field, and the ball's coming at you and you just hope you catch it, or the ball's coming at you and you hope you hit it. And there's all of these individual decisions that get made on behalf of your team. And there's a lot of pressure, and there's the feeling of being a spectacle. So I kind of just have like this, something is coming in, and are you going to hit the ball out of the field or you're going to strike out? Like, so this is about individuality. This is what's being transformed. And so if you're American, you can feel this. I can feel this so clearly. So like culturally, in order to heal, we need to remember how to be in relationship with each other and with our planet. And that's what I feel this is about, like American baseball. I mean, even if you think about the baseball field, you know, it's this manicured, unnatural place where we're playing, but then it feels very serious. I was the first girl on my little league baseball team because I was really good. But then when they moved me up to the league that was only boys had ever played in, I wasn't great. I was, put in right field instead of pitching and playing at first base and shortstop and or even left field where the ball gets hit, or catcher. I later played all those positions. But I was little. They had me like at bat, they had me like scrunched down, so it was like impossible to throw a strike to me. They made my strike zone really small, and it was kind of humiliating. It was like I should have been proud to be the first girl, but then I just felt like not adequate. It didn't feel good. I was proud to be on the team, and the boys were so nice to me, but and there's just something about baseball where you don't act like I really loved basketball. And when you play on a basketball team, you move around like you're one body, and you help each other out. You set picks and rolls, and you pass the ball to each other. You're a team. But baseball doesn't feel that way. There's some pass, throwing the ball to the right bases. And sorry, I don't know enough. I mean, I know enough about baseball, but not for it to flow. And I'm like, who cares, right? But you get my feeling, you get my drift. Like, it's about individuality being transformed as we remember we need to be in relationship. So that feeling of, here comes the ball, you're going to hit it? And you're all alone at home plate, shaking over, and here comes that pitch. Are you going to hit it? Are you going to strike out? It's a lot of pressure. All right, so that's what's being transformed. I'm totally indulging myself in this reading and just saying whatever comes into me. So thank you for watching. I'm carrying you this message. I hope it makes sense. Okay, so there's a Four of Cups, another small worldview. Things never work out. This is in your feelings, the cups. Ho-hum, been there, done that. Look, that's like a crabby little rat crouching on the cups. What else? Balance and transformation. That infinite justice of the butterfly. More wings. And then there's a collaboration. And there is a sacred mountain. This is where you each bring your ability. This is about building together. You bring your ability, each of you has a talent. You have a vision, you make it real. It's a beautiful card. It's very, very different from that solitary sport of baseball. Three of Pentacles is about building together. So there's a mirroring, there's that justice, there's that balance that this reading is asking about. We can see that some are afraid because they've been trying to work with each other. Like I just was talking to a wonderful activist the other day, and they were very sad about how they had all these great ideas and plans, and then it was just really hard to get people to really do something real. And that, I've felt that in my whole life about trying to get people to get together to make this work. You know, that I see that our system doesn't work for everybody. So if it doesn't work for everybody, what we've been told is, well, they're not doing it right. They don't deserve it. It's like a very old idea in our culture that you get your just desserts, you know, and if we work hard enough, we'll be comfortable. Not only comfortable, we'll be rich, right? So this is an individual fantasy. A lot of us work so hard, and we don't get rich. You know, we get enough, and a lot of people work so hard and they don't get enough. I mean, most people I know are a little anxious. They're feeling a little bit like this, you know, or they're like this. They're hoarding what they have, right? So there's some people afraid of working together, and there's some people who are still doing individuality, and then there's some people who are actually building together already. But this is what has been transformed. I can feel it in myself. Yeah. Okay, what still needs to be transformed? We have the Nine of Wands, that exhaustion from struggle. Then we have the little hedgehog, healing, going alone to heal, rest. This is exhaustion and this is rest. So this is what still needs to be transformed. Let's see. Ah, sweet Daughter of Cups. There's a real peaceful, restful energy in this part of what needs to be transformed. There's a lot of evidence of people working too hard for too little. And the Daughter of Cups is flirty and light and loving and generous. There's that Ace of Pentacles. That's the baseball image that I showed you here, right? So that still needs to be transformed. But this is a new beginning. You can see this stump, there's light in this stump. So if we think about, there's a lot of things that just feel like they're ending. We can feel that Uranus has been going through Taurus. A lot of our fundamental structures of money, farming, earth, relation to earth. We've been feeling that revolution for quite a few years now. So that's what I think this is about. Like, it's not done, but there is a new beginning here, and there's still life left. There's still that ember of life. There's a lot of hope still for a new beginning. And that's what the Ace of Pentacles also, or more traditionally, would mean. And then there's a Mother of Pentacles. That's such a loving card, right? The little fawn, safe. Mother of Pentacles is very often about security, wanting a partner, wealth. This one is very much about caring for the young ones. And I think of that all the time with respect to what's happening in this historical moment, in climate crisis, however you're looking at what we're in, that feels, I think whatever our political perspective, even, like, we're feeling alarm, we feel crisis, we feel transformation. We're in different relationships to that. And it makes my heart ache, actually, for us. There's such in this what still needs to be transformed. There's so much exhaustion and such a need for rest and sweetness and faith and hope and care. This still needs to be transformed. Yes, that's true, isn't it? Yeah. Okay, so what needs to be communicated, and it appears to be, we need a message, and it has to do with this, our capacities as the magician. And I often feel aware of the limits of our capacities, and that we're not alone on this planet, as we're just a part of nature. We're not outside of nature. Everything here is nature. But we can sometimes feel how quickly we move and how powerful we are. And then we feel hyper responsible. And an overdeveloped sense of responsibility and of power is one of the consequences of growing up in trauma. And it's not true that you can do it. So there's a lot of these wands, the 10 of wands, the 7 of wands, the 9 of wands. Like, it's a feeling of exhaustion and need for rest that we're seeing, and a need to change our minds and our perspectives. That's everywhere in this reading. So let's see what's the message. So there's that 3 of wands, right? That's this beautiful vision that's coming in. It's not clear yet. You manifested this, and the magician is a manifester, and it's coming in. And it's just kind of appearing. I kind of imagine like those old movies where the glass goes and it's just, it's going to come in, and then you'll see that portal. So that's what that makes me think of. That's our manifestation. And I feel like it's ours. Like, we are moving. We've moved from we're all an island unto ourselves to we got to do this together. But we need a vision, right? There's the healing 4 of Swords that we've just seen, our little hedgehog, right? Beautiful lamb, enlightened. This one looks anxious, this one has come somewhere, has organized the mind, is enlightened, has insight coming in. Okay, that feels like rested. What else? It also feels like this clarity, the high priestess no longer having her intuition blocked. This little lamb is like full on receiving. And that's like the sun, right? That's the sun coming out of her little head. That's when the eclipse ends, the earth moves out of the way and the sun can reflect fully on the moon. That's that. There. One more. And there's this 8 of Swords again. So it's your mind, your thoughts. And the truth is, you're a butterfly. And we're talking about transformation. Butterflies absolutely represent transformation. You get out. I find it really cool. You probably know this, but like when the caterpillar goes into the cocoon, it dissolves. And there's little pieces of it left, and then it comes together somehow, magic, right? And to become a butterfly. The parts of the caterpillar become parts of the butterfly, but also new parts are created. And then, did you do this when you were a kid? We had a little kit, and then we fed the caterpillars, and then they made cocoons, and then there was the day where they came out, and then they dried, and then they flew away, right? So this Eight of Swords is always about it's only your head that tells you cannot fly, right? So you can believe you can fly. So that's the message. The message is, it's very raw. It's not clear yet what the vision is. The Magician has the raw material. The Three of Wands has the manifestation. We can see this message that needs to come in is unclear, but it puts you right in your mind. It puts you at peace, and you're enlightened. And anyone that doesn't take this and fly with it, it's just their mind that's keeping them trapped. And ultimately, you will get free, Ultimately, is that true? I'm an optimist, right? So is that true? Like, everyone in an Eight of Swords will come to realize, holy shit, I'm a butterfly. I can fly out of here. I don't have to worry about this. I can see how fragile your wings feel around all those pokey things. Yeah, what's underneath here? Wow, beautiful. 2 cards. This is the Strength card. This is the card that's the most powerful card in the tarot. If the sun is the happiest, this is the most powerful. This card beats the devil. It beats the thoughts in your mind that tell you can't. It calms the violence in you, the beast, the one that wants to hit people with your stick, right? It calms you because you're coming from your heart. That's why the lion has the rose in his mouth, because he's coming forward with love. I personally always think of Aslan in The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. The lion is like a Christ figure. So take or leave that. But it is the power of love to transform. And then we see that new beginning, the Fool, the leap of faith. It seems like we're going, this happens, and then the world ends, and then a new one begins, and then the Fool begins a new journey. So there is like more to be done. We haven't finished this part of the video game of life yet, right? We're getting selected. Some of us get to move on. Some aren't ready. You're going to get there. We're on different timelines, right? So there's a new journey that awaits. This one that we're in is quite hard. It's quite tiring. Our brains are full of ideas that poke and hurt and scare us and exhaust us. The major idea here that's being transformed is the solitary, individualistic American baseball. Here comes the ball. My team depends on me catching it, but there's no one to help me. Here comes the ball. Am I going to catch it? That's so scary, right? It's so lonely. We just want to go in our little hedgehog den and rest and recover. There's just so much exhaustion here. But we're almost there. We're almost to the new thing. And some people are there. Some people are still working through the ideas. Some people are working together, are full of enlightenment and insight. The message coming to you through this tarot reading, the message of Michael, the angel in this judgment card, or whatever the divine is to you, is that you're the magician. You have the raw materials to build the world that you want to see, that you want to live in with others. That's the insight. It's time to work together. It's time to do this. It's time to do this. You intuitively know this already. We're getting told this in all kinds of ways. It's a pretty big, cool message, my friends. Wherever you are in this journey, I've been feeling it too, the exhaustion. There's a message coming that might help. And maybe this is a part of that same message. But it still needs to be transformed, right? Still requires revolution. So we get these three here: the sweet heart and the new beginning and this love, this loving each other. We still need to work on that part of how we do this. Because we're getting there. We're planting trees, right? Remember I said that? Whatever we're doing to solve whatever we're solving, because I think we're diverse, right? So you're all thinking about something else on some level of life. So whatever you're solving, when you're planting trees, what you need to know is there's just so much underneath. There's a whole network of relationships that we need to remember connect everything. All this roots under the ground that these trees depend on to live. So just sticking plants into the desert it's probably not going to work. Okay, whatever that means to you, my friends, thank you for letting me carry this message. And I hope you have a beautiful eclipse and full moon in Scorpio. And I look forward to the next new moon reading with you. Have a great day.